Hello, everybody, and welcome to this month's episode of the Vision Island Advocacy Talks. I'm Madeline McNamara, and I'm the Advocacy and Engagement Administrator with Vision Island. And this month, we're going to be talking to Claire Shorten all about her overcoming employment challenges. But before I introduce you to Claire, I just wanted to remind everybody that this session, as usual, is being recorded. So if you'd like to listen back, you can do that on the Vision Island YouTube channel, and you will also be able to access it through our website at www.vi.ie. So I'd like to introduce you to Claire Shorten, who is a service user with Vision Island, but also is one of our advocates as part of the local advocacy network. So hello, Claire, and welcome, and thank you so much for coming to talk to us today.
Hi, Madeline. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, we're very welcome. We're delighted to have you come and talk to us all about your challenges and overcoming them with employment. I know that you at the moment have no sight at all, but I wondered before we sort of jump into the whole aspect of employment, whether or not you might sort of give us a bit of background about yourself in terms of your journey, in terms of your sight loss.
Yeah, no problem. So it was actually I had full eyesight. Now I did have to wear glasses, for the blackboard, for driving, for the television. But when I was about 20, in 2011, I started getting a couple of migraines. Went into my GP. She said, "Oh, 5% of brain tumor, but we won't get into it." So I didn't. And then it actually took to losing a teensy bit more of my eyesight, for me to go in Specsavers, and I couldn't see white light. So the optician there sent me straight to Vincent's Hospital to get a CAT scan or an MRI scan, and found out the next day. So this would have been in June 2011 when I was 20. And I went in, got the CAT scan, went the next day with my dad. They brought us into the room where they gave obviously the sad news, and they said there was some sort of tissue in my brain. So I went straight on to Beaumont Hospital, went in the ambulance. They did the little knee for me. And yeah, basically it turned out that them migraines, I had a couple of black spots, and then my vision going just a week beforehand, just a teensy bit. It turns out that it was a brain tumor, benign, thank God, but a brain tumor pushing up against my optic nerve. So even though the surgery was the next day on a Sunday and emergency surgery, they got the dangerous part of the tumor out. But after 2-3 weeks after the surgery, I noticed my eyesight was just getting worse and worse and worse. Went back into hospital, and they just don't know. It was no negligence on the doctors, on the surgeons, on the hospital at all. They just don't know what happened. So the damage was probably already done to the optic nerve. So within a month, I was driving my car, fully able to see, to then being pretty much fully blind. Yeah. So it was quick,
Wow.
turnaround, but
So that must have been quite a dramatic time for you. And I'm presuming when you were at that stage at 20, were you in college at that point already, or?
Yes. Well, say 3 years before that, in 2008, actually in June, as well, my mum passed away from skin cancer. So one thing, we were delighted that the C word didn't come back into our family. I was studying college in Maynooth University. I was in my first year, again, because I did UC first year, and I think after just having lost my mum, went into Maynooth, was getting on great there, had to leave there again. So yeah, and I was driving my car. So I was studying in college, geography and economics actually at this stage I was studying. And then yeah, so I just had to, everything just had to be, I suppose, refreshed, renewed, I remember going home and I had my bedroom highly organized, military style, not so much anymore. Just little things, yeah, like even learning then I remember my community resource worker came over then a few weeks later, and a few other people that had come to my house made me more depressed, made me more feeling less independent, less of a person, to be honest with you. And then my community resource worker came, and she was just outstanding. So I started practicing the long cane with her, which I thought was brilliant. It kind of hurt my wrist though for a while. But yeah, so having said that though, being a 20-year-old, I was out socializing, clubbing, even just going shopping for clothes and stuff.
Yeah.
That was tough when I lost my eyesight, because I always needed someone to help me, And as much as friends and family knew my style, this, that, and the other, some of them were colorblind. So I'd be coming home thinking I got something in orange, but it was actually in red, which is not my favorite color. Yeah, and then kind of going out socializing then, because I wasn't bringing out my long stick. For I'd say close to the first few months, easily to a year, I didn't tend to bring out my long cane. And I'd be coming home with bruises above and beyond on my knees in particular.
Wow.
But yeah, so it was tough. It was tough, the idea that I couldn't just open my front door, walk out and go wherever I wanted. Everything had to be planned. If I wanted to go somewhere, I had to organise someone to bring me. I had to organise what buses brought me there. So it's more just that I really had to organise. Having said that though, my family and friends, as much as they were getting used to it as well. So sometimes I was treated like a little kid, treated like I had no hearing, and so on and so forth. They were just absolutely brilliant. And so I I remember my sister came to me one time and she was like, "Claire, I don't want to go to sleep and like, 'cause I'm so worried about you, like, And I was like, "Ash, honestly, I don't. I might break down for 10 minutes and then I get a little slap in the face, or I don't physically slap myself in the face, but I just pick myself up and say, Claire, get up and get over it, get on with it. I'm still living, I'm still breathing, I'm still walking and talking. So just let's see what's out there for me and let's do it, Yeah.
That's amazing attitude, Claire, honestly, because it must have been an absolutely huge shock and an adjustment to be made, both mentally and, as you say, practically learning again how to do everything,
Yeah.
how to get back your independence. I mean, that is a whole kind of education on its own, isn't it? In terms of relearning all of that. But you did, you did that. And you picked yourself up, and then when did you then go back to college to take up your studies again?
So yeah, so this was the thing. I was studying an arts degree. I wanted to become a teacher, secondary school teacher, teaching geography. I thought that was out the window. I went to NCBI, which is obviously now Vision Ireland, their training centre, about a year or so after I lost my eyesight. I met obviously blind people, vision impaired people, eyesight people, and I just loved it because everyone just worked unanimously together. Like, it was just brilliant. There was no prejudice, no talking down to someone, nothing like that. And two tutors there who were both fully blind themselves told me when I mentioned I wanted to be a teacher, they're like, of course you could be a teacher. So they gave me big time encouragement to do what I believe my purpose is, to be a teacher.
Yeah.
And so after spending about a year and a half in the training centre, which I learned great skills, just computer skills in particular, loads of different skills there, and then just socialising with other blind people, vision impaired people, brilliant. I then went back to Maynooth University. So I knew I wanted to be in Maynooth University. It's a very friendly, really great atmosphere in Maynooth University. It's a great campus, obviously great academic, like lecturers, this, that, and the other. And I had a meeting with the head of the geography department a few months beforehand, before I was starting, just to see how she would be with taking on a blindie. because geography is very visual. So she basically goes to me, and I will never forget this. She goes to me, Claire, if you work with us, we'll work with you. And that
Fantastic.
to me was, thank you.
Yeah.
So I went back to college, I think it was September 2014,
Wow.
did my arts degree for geography and history, did really well. I didn't get first class, but I did get a 2.1, so that's not too bad.
That's pretty
Uh,
good.
yeah, and the lecturers, the students, everything. It was just brilliant. The access program there is amazing. I needed a personal assistant to bring me from A to B. I
Yeah.
need that personal assistant to take my notes for me. You
Mm.
know, anything I needed because due to my obviously disability, do you know, I got, they're just outstanding there. You don't feel like you are at a disadvantage because of your disability.
Mm.
You feel like you are fully up there with all other students, you know, because you're given any accommodations you need to succeed, I suppose. Do you know what I mean? To excel, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
great nights out there too.
well, that's obviously it has to be part of the student
Has to
experience.
be
That's
when the
very
youth's just
important.
on the doorstep. Yeah, exactly. Great nights
Yeah.
out. But
But it's
so then after the 3 years then of the Bachelor of Arts degree, I then went on to do the 2 years teaching course. So it's professional masters in education. And that was again in Maynooth University. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Everything about it. We had to be in for a teacher placement, so for experience, we were placed into a school each year, for a few hours or a couple of days, 2, 3 days, you know, each week.
yeah.
I remember my first year I was in St. Mary's, Glasnevin, grade school,
Mm.
and it was just the first year introductory day, and I had butterflies,
Yeah.
absolute butterflies in my tummy. I just knew that this is where I'm meant to be. Um, I remember thinking, oh, are the students going to take advantage or this, that, and the other of me being blind? They didn't at all. They were just outstanding. If I was right on the whiteboard, they'd be like, Miss, go down to the next line. Um,
Oh,
if I needed any help, they're like, no problem, Miss. And I even remember the first year students, I would be telling them, when we finish a topic, we will have a fun day. If we do good in the topic, do you know, if we finish everything right. And I was like, what do you want to do for your fun day? What do you think? And then they were chatting away for ages, and I was like, maybe a movie, maybe music. And they're like, Miss, we'd actually like to talk about you, learn about you.
wow.
So yeah, I'm meant to be in the classroom. I'm meant to be teaching. I'm so passionate about geography, so passionate about history.
Mm.
It's them subjects are a part, you know, and teaching is a part to me. So
Yeah.
just absolutely loved it. Yeah.
And that's fantastic that it's something you're so passionate about. But when
Yeah.
you were doing the teacher training, when you were going into the classroom, did you have any kind of assistance there at that stage in the classroom, or were you
Mm,
kind of on your own with the students, or how did that work?
no. So I did remember the first year now in St. Mary's, I still had a personal assistant that was given to me now from Maynooth University with the
Yeah.
the the access program. So I did have my personal assistant. So the personal assistant was able to read handwritten homework,
Mm.
was able to just, you know, print out revision notes or anything I had to print out for each classroom, and also brought me, you know, from the staff room to the classroom and so on. Initially, I didn't have my PA in the classroom,
Mm.
but very quickly did I learn that even though the students were behaving themselves to a certain degree, some of them might have been concentrating. So some of them might have been drawing little doodles as you do, you know. So
Yeah.
I thought, okay, I think I'm going to have a personal assistant, my girl in with me, you know. Just
Yeah.
sit at the back just to keep an eye out, you know,
Mm.
and to make sure that the students are all, um, I suppose, interacting with the classroom. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. You know,
Yeah.
and certainly in those initial stages, I guess once, you know, you got the chalk, which we'll go on to a bit more, but I think if you were in a classroom kind of for a long time and you became more confident and knowledgeable about your own abilities to pick up on the kind of feeling in the class or whatever, you may not need that so much going forward, do you think?
May not need it now. So like say for instance, I would always have, and by all means, teachers or my course, my teaching course, they're all not pushing it, but encouraging interactive. So make the student, do you know what I mean? Nearly the teachers, and so I'd be always asking questions to the students, or oh, but to a certain student, I'm like, will you do this for me? Will you do that for me? So I hope by interacting them and getting them way more involved than just listening to me talk all day long, gets them more involved and gets them less likely to be on their phones, doodling lovely little flowers, which I used to do when I was in school. Look, we all did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just about getting them interested as well.
Yeah.
If a certain topic comes up and they're like, oh, miss, why do we have to do this? And I go, I know, come on, we'll power through. Let's make it fun, So if
Yes,
you make it
absolutely.
interesting for the students, then that might relieve by all means,
Yeah.
They think
Yeah.
I can hear chatting. I can hear when kids are chatting, this, that, and but I can't hear someone's drawing or on their phone. So I think just keep them interactive. But again, there's no problem, I don't think, having a personal assistant down the back. The students all,
No.
got on with them, and that was brilliant. Yeah.
Absolutely, there's no
Yeah.
problem with it
Yeah.
at all, Claire. I
Yeah.
mean, I think it's fantastic that you had that support and that you were still able to fully completely do the job. I mean, which was, why shouldn't you be able to? I think that's the whole thing. So that experience in college and getting through was all very positive.
Yeah.
But then, you left, that you graduated, did well in that degree. Then came the task of trying to actually get a job as a teacher. So maybe fill us in a bit on that. What happened at that stage?
Well, I didn't think I was necessarily privileged in Maynooth University until I left Maynooth University. I thought getting a personal assistant, getting a couple of other things, not major now, that was my right, which it is my right. It's anyone's right if they have a disability or this, that, and the other. Then I leave. Now, I didn't really mind the first year not getting any teaching positions. So nothing. Even though I was sending out a few CVs by all means, I got nothing, no responses. The second year came then, nothing. And I'm going on to now 10, 12 or so, at least a dozen teaching positions I applied for, nothing. I was getting a little taken aback, but I just said, look, it's only 2 years out, power through. Went into the third year, up until Christmas of the third school year, nothing. I felt quite deflated. I kept on hitting brick wall after brick wall, and getting not unmotivated, but just not feeling great myself. My confidence, everything was going down. And then I started actually volunteering for Vision Ireland in the training centre, just so I can get up and get out and do something. I was getting a little bit bored at home, let's say, sitting around. And then I remember when I was in doing volunteering in the training centre, I got a call from a local school saying, oh, we'd like to have you for an interview. That was my first interview in 2.5 years.
Wow.
And as I said, over dozens of teaching positions. And I remember going back into the kitchen in the training centre and start bawling my eyes out, I got an interview, because that to me was amazing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I didn't get the job, but the interview wasn't bad. But look, there was one or two questions that just slipped me up. And I think that's from probably not having enough experience, which is fair. So
Well, I
then
think and interviewing is a skill in the sense of being
yeah,
interviewed. You know, I think just knowing from my own experience, it's practice at interviews. So the fact that you
absolutely.
don't get your
Yeah.
first job is not really surprising from an interview, because you don't
No.
know what an interview's like until you have an interview, and then it's like, you know, if you the next time you would have kind of learned from that one and gone on.
Yeah.
So yes, so I mean, as you say, 2.5 years and on your first interview, that was a long, long time. And
Yeah.
I just wanted to sort of ask then, were you on your interview during the process, were you declaring that you had a disability or not?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Again, disclosing on your CV or your cover letter, to employers, your disability, that's completely personal up to each and everyone, each individual. For me, well, firstly, I believed that I didn't want to not disclose and then walk in the door with a stick, my long cane, and then they're kind of like, oh. Secondly, being blind, it's not who I am, but it's a part of me.
Yeah,
And why should I have to? I don't believe that I have to omit it on my CV or my cover letter in order to get a job. Some people have said, why don't you take it off? Why don't you take being blind off your CV, your application? I'm like, I shouldn't have to. So no, I'm not going to. If someone's going to hire me for me, brilliant. But being blind is
yeah,
part of me. So I don't
yeah,
feel that for myself, I'm proud to be blind. I'm proud to be a qualified teacher in geography and history. You know, I shouldn't have to hide behind that. I know I can teach my students effectively, successfully, everything. So
yeah,
for me, omitting it from my CV is nearly like omitting a part of me, if you get me.
yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely, absolutely.
yeah,
That's very important.
mm,
So you had that interview and you didn't get that job, and then
yeah.
from there, what happened?
So when I got the interview, I kind of my hopes, I obviously got an uplift or whatever you call it, you know what I mean? A
Mm,
boost. So applying again. Then the
yeah.
fourth year comes again, nothing,
Mm,
nothing. I was feeling very defeated. Being at home, being blind as well, it's very hard just to go out and get a part-time job in a restaurant, in a retail shop, whatever. So
yeah.
I'm sitting at home, my husband's coming home, seeing me in my pajamas on the couch on my computer, and he's just looking at it, um, it wasn't great, I was,
Mm,
what then, 32, 33, whatever, still not
mm.
working. All my friends are out working, great jobs, getting great money in, living their lives where I'm stuck home. It was, when I
So
lost
at
my
what point?
eyesight, I wasn't
Mm,
as I'd never
keen.
used the word depressed. I'm using it very, very
Yeah,
lightly, just for anyone out there. I'm very using it very lightly. When I lost my eyesight, I never was as hurt or as
mm,
let down
yeah,
at this stage. And I remember my dad and a few others were like, oh, go into the civil service. I looked
yeah,
up jobs for that. I don't want to work in a desk, but if I have to, I have to. Still
yeah.
nothing with that.
Mm,
So then, when I was nearly, I don't know what I was going to do.
yeah,
And my cousin last summer told me, Claire, why don't you just teach online?
yeah,
Teach tutorials, teach as an extra subject outside of school. And I was like, oh, badly, and I'd need someone, to design the web page, the website, this and the other. Sure, I can do that.
yeah.
So
Fantastic.
she, with me and her, I've given her a break now. She's now on leave, let's call it, well due leave. Because since I'd say the middle of summer, um, we have been working on my website. I got my name, geographyteacher.ie. I did
Fantastic.
my first Easter vision course with junior certificate students, and it was absolutely brilliant. I got great feedback from the parents and the students. I am doing a few tutorials and just absolutely loving it. It's just only started, so I'm not getting profiting or anything from it yet, but that feeling,
Yeah.
finally, I'm back where I'm meant to be. And now my husband is coming home, seeing me dressed. We have a lovely
Right.
desk. My brother-in-law built me a beautiful desk that's in the other room. And
Wow.
he's coming home, seeing me on the desk, sometimes on the couch, but dressed and doing what I love doing. So I'm just so hopeful that
Mm.
now come next school year, I'll be bringing it out big time.
Yeah.
Revision courses for junior certs, for leaving certs, tutorials and different workshops.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not physically in the classroom with the students,
Mm.
the interaction now with I suppose Microsoft Teams, Google Meet, and so on is just brilliant. You get
Yeah.
much more better interaction, I think,
Mm.
from my experience with the Easter Revision course. I'd be having very small classes, 10
Yeah.
max.
Yeah.
You're
But I think,
interacting with them, they're getting way more attention,
yeah.
more individual needs are being dealt with than a bigger
Mm.
classroom of 30. So I
Yeah.
hope that this is going to be my new venture, my new career, and I've
Yeah.
taken it into my own hands.
Yeah.
I'm totally avoiding prejudice. No one's got,
Fantastic.
loads of people have said to me, "Oh, do you think you'll get jobs now?" And I'm like, "No, I think I'm happy where I am at the moment."
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. You, as you say, you've completely taken it into your own hands and
yeah,
found another way to do the job that you love. And
mhm,
I suppose, unfortunately, COVID has probably made this more possible than ever would have been before, because before that we weren't really into the whole online classes. But I mean, because of COVID, schools having to do everything online, and even universities, it's kind of made that much more the
mm,
norm now, I
yeah,
suppose, than it would have been in the past. And all those advantages you say, that people don't have to then travel. I even know my own children, doing grinds, and when it was able to do it online, it was so much more accessible, because to travel into somewhere, just took so
yeah,
much time, whereas now they can just do it from the comfort of your own home.
mm.
So I think that's absolutely brilliant. But I mean, along the way, before you got to this stage, you were doing a great job in sort of advocating for yourself as well, weren't you? You were getting involved with television interviews and all sorts of things. Maybe you could just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, well, it would have been now a few years now when it first kind of, I suppose, started out. So, Vision Ireland, if Vision Ireland ever got a call, "Oh, we'd love to talk to somebody," blah blah, they'd always call me. Because I yap, but I think because I was in education at the time, I was in college studying.
Mm,
So it came out that obviously I'm the first blind teacher in Ireland. So that a few years ago got big attention from newspaper articles. And then I remember I was actually on, for one of my history modules, I believe I was in the National Archives. And
ah,
we just happened to be having lunch, me, my PA, and a couple girls that were with me, other students, and got a call from RTE. They wanted me on the Ryan Tuberty radio show.
wow.
So that was awesome. Then I don't know how long later, then got a call from RTE. No, it's RTE or Virgin Media with Moira and Dahi show, TV show. So it's on
Wow.
the TV then. I was all over the newspapers. It was brilliant. It was
Yeah.
absolutely brilliant. Got great feedback from the public, everything, just
Mm,
saying, well done, well done for kind of doing what you want to do. If you want to do geography, go study it. You get me? It was
yeah.
brilliant. And then just recently, then just start this year, again up so with geography teacher.ie.
Mm,
That got a good bit of attention, which was brilliant. And again, just on the radio, Oliver Callan, who obviously um, replaced Ryan Tuberty.
yeah.
And then just newspaper articles, a few documentaries, doing for TNG Car and RT. So it's just been amazing media. And it's brilliant that people are interested and
Mm,
I suppose inspired, that
yeah.
saying, well done that. And I believe that the more we advocate for ourselves, for each other, the more awareness that there's going to be out there. So schools, for
Absolutely.
instance, not hiring me. Now, look, it could be to do with experience. I would never use my blindness as an excuse until it becomes very evident.
Yeah.
But they need to be more aware, of what people can do, or give them a go,
Yeah.
A big issue here as well is the personal assistant. So as much as this media is brilliant, people keep on thinking, oh, you're probably going to get offered jobs from left, right, centre. No, that hasn't happened. So even though it's brilliant getting it out there, it's not happening. And one reason could be, as I said, in Maynooth University, I was privileged. Again, it was my right to have a personal assistant. It was my right to have accommodations for, let's say, the exams. But it was only after I left that I realised that was a privilege.
Yeah.
In Ireland, if you work in a public sector job, which is teaching, your employer has to apply for a personal assistant for you. Now, that personal assistant is funded by your local county council or your local school or that local employer that you're working with. They have to come up with the funds to fund a personal assistant, for instance. They have to come up with the funds to, say, provide ramps or lifts or whatever maybe a wheelchair user might need.
Yeah.
So if a school or that area, that county council, that local county council does not have funding for reasonable accommodations, which in law are 100% entitled to us, if they can't afford it, they won't get it.
Yeah.
So that's a big issue, is that the government aren't providing a clear, accessible way into education and employment for a person with a disability. I was
think it's
lucky in Maynooth University because it's a very big campus, big college. Smaller colleges probably wouldn't be able to have the funding to provide reasonable accommodations.
Yeah. And I think it's that difference that the private sector has ring-fenced funding for the reasonable accommodations. So, that employer isn't having to come up with the fund for the ramp or the personal assistant, whereas the public sector, because it's sort of seen that that's already funded by the government, the trouble is there's no ring fence funding, so that public body, whether it be the school or whatever, is having to come up with the money from it.
Yeah, like big time. So the private sector, you just sign on for a personal reader, and hey ho, it's like the smallest little form in the world that you fill in. And then I came across it as well. Now that I am self-employed with geographyteacher.ie, no reasonable accommodations, no personal assistance for self-employed people. Nothing.
Yeah.
And I got right up there to the top man that deals with, personal assistants or personal readers or whatever. And he said, yeah, we just can't.
Wow.
So
look, there's certainly, it gives us, avenues there. There's certainly things that we need to continue to campaign on there, Claire, in the future. Look, I know you're under pressure, but time-wise, so I don't want to hold you too much longer. I know you've got a journey ahead of you, so I don't want to delay you doing that. But I mean, I just think that you're such a shining example of how resilience and persistence has really just paid off, in the sense that you have been through a really difficult journey, but you haven't let it stop you. You haven't let it derail you from what your dream is, to be a teacher. Even though obstacles have been put in your way, you have found a way around that. And I just think that, you're an amazing example to everybody, that just don't take no for an answer. You can often find a way of doing what you want to do. So look, thank you so much for joining us today. Really do appreciate it. And please, anyone, watch back again and listen to Claire if you need a bit, if you're feeling low and you need a bit of inspiration, go back onto our YouTube channel and you know, have another listen to Claire's amazingly inspirational story, and it'll give you maybe the push you need to get out there and do what you want to do yourself as well. So thank you so much, Claire. Really appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Ellen.
Lovely to talk to you.
You too. Thank you.
Bye bye. Bye bye, everyone.